Hello and welcome to the HSC Mayo Primary Care Occupational Therapy Services Handwriting webinar series. This video will focus on spacing between letters and between words. The first question will be, is spacing a concern for the child? You're going to want to pull out their homework copy or worksheets they have been writing in and look at the writing. Are the spaces between the words too big, too small, and similarly for the letters, are they squished or too far apart? Look to see, is there a difference when the child is writing under a time pressure versus normal conditions, and how they perform when encouraged to write neatly. You might also see some other common spatial difficulties such as challenges with line placement, letter sizing, and organisation of writing on the page. We have some other videos in this series that will help address these other challenges. Before you begin working on spacing, there are some other things to consider. How is the child's eyesight? Have they had their eyes tested? How is their ability to track with their eyes? Can their eyes move smoothly across the page? If there is a difficulty with eyesight, this may be an underlying reason for spacing challenges and needs to be addressed first. Are there any other signs of spatial awareness challenges? Examples might include bumping into door frames or other people or objects without meaning to, difficulty catching a ball, difficulty hitting a target. Next, consider the age of the child. As kids get older, the motor patterns of writing become harder to change. Therefore, if the child is in the senior cycle of primary school or in secondary school, unless the child is very motivated, it can be difficult to change these motor patterns. You might want to consider if assistive technology is required and start to introduce typing skills. Having made those considerations, if you decide that you're going to work on a child's spacing, what will you do? Well, we're now going to go through some common strategies used by OTs to develop this skill. First, make sure that the child understands why spacing is important, with the main reason being that it helps people to read their work. Then, teach the concept of spacing. Use something to visualize the space. Finger spacing is very common in junior classrooms, where the finger is moved to the end of the word and the next word starts the other side of the finger. This is something a lot of you are already familiar with. An ice lolly stick may be used instead of a finger and frees up the hand for stabilising the page. The thin side of the ice lolly stick can also be used for spacing letters within the word if needed. Other objects that are easily available and can be used include an eraser or a piece of blue tack. Getting the child to place small stickers between the words helps to emphasise making the space. Or use a white colouring pencil to place a dot between the words. Stopping to pick up a different pencil and make the dot emphasises the space, and the white dot doesn't stand out or can be erased later. The spaghetti and meatballs concept teaches children that the thin spaghetti represents the space between the letters and the larger chunks of meatballs are the big spaces between the words. For spacing between letters, encourage that the spaces are close but not touching. You can practice this concept by getting children to bring their fingers close together but don't touch. Remember, for spaces between words, the space is approximately the size of one of their lowercase letters. The next strategy is to make the space obvious. We can do this by highlighting when a space has to be used. When writing something to be copied from a worksheet or the board, use coloured dots, a marker or a symbol in between the words to show where the spaces are. Teach the child that when they see these on a page, they need to stop to check their spaces. Another option is to make the spaces large enough so they cannot miss that a space is required. Have the child read the words out loud and say space every time there is a space before copying the text. Another way to make it obvious is to use large square graph paper to help students visualize spacing of words and letters. You can use the graph paper or turn line paper horizontally to create columns to help keep maths problems aligned. Cognitive strategies will also be required. Consider the strategy of doing a double hop with the pencil between words to exaggerate the space. Have the child point out spaces between words in a text or on the copy or on the board. Again, have them say the word space every time there is a space and encourage the child to write the space the same way they write a letter. Build awareness of spacing errors by having the child read their work to you. Using their work and some samples you might already have, ask them, where does one word end and the other begin? Ask which space between the words looks the best or is the easiest to read. Ask which space between letters looks the best. You can use a handwriting checklist to review your handwriting work. Practice reviewing your work and fix any errors that you find. Another idea is to play a game called the Sick Sentence Clinic. Write a simple sentence on the board or in a copy like this one, "She wears a hat," and fix the spacing errors by pointing out where smaller or larger spaces are required. You can do this with strokes such as this one, or with something more tangible like pennies or balls of blue tack. Then rewrite the sentence and check it again. Write the sentence sometimes with the letters all very tight together and get the child to fix the sick sentence. Write the sentences with the letters too largely spaced, and again the child fixes the sentence. Write the words with no spaces at all or where the words have too large spaces. That finishes our strategies for targeting spacing difficulties in handwriting. To summarise, the strategies we mentioned are: teach the concept by using a finger, an ice lolly stick, a sticker, or spaghetti and meatballs concept to visualise the spaces. Make it obvious by using large spaces or highlighting spaces on text for copying. Use cognitive strategies such as the double hop, verbalising the space as they write, and doing handwriting checklists. The sick sentence game is a nice one to practice with. If the child has additional spatial awareness challenges, some activities that can help develop this skill include tangram puzzles, pattern making and pattern copying games with beads or blocks, and model building, target games such as swing ball or tennis, and direction following games such as the dance mat or playing Simon Says. These are all good activities for developing spatial awareness. Thank you for watching our video. Please check out our other videos in this handwriting webinar series for more ideas.